So today we'll be building a full stack project, and that project is a note taking application. Now, of course, while the application itself is going to be quite basic in terms of its nature, but of course we'll be learning a lot of things, including how to structure your entire project, and we'll be also building it as a full stack application where we'll have a front end where you can create new notes, and whenever you create any new note, it gets automatically saved to a MongoDB. So for that, we'll be also initializing a Node.js based Express server, and also creating some collections in our MongoDB for the same purpose of creation of new new nodes. So that's what we're going to be covering in today's session. This full stack applications.
Yeah, definitely. As Shivay told, so today our main focus would be building a real-time project on and deploying it on a real server so that everyone can view our project. And also, so our project would be dedicated to a note-taking application in which we can see a list of note over the screen, as well as we can make a new notes, as well as we can edit it like the already present note, or we can delete it. So basically our main goal for is to make a full-fledged note taking application where we can have a whole screen dedicated to our notes. So that also would be useful for our end too. And yeah, now proceeding with the main code. Yeah, today there is no theory, so we will be proceeding with the main code. Okay, so starting with the again module 6. So I would be creating a front end as well as backend. So initially in this module 6 folder, so again I will be creating a front end. So like expressing how we have reached this far is like we have already done HTML, CSS, and GS that would be covered within this front end application, and the other two parts that's the API integration as well as the backend server along with connecting with the database and handling all the data. So that would be covered within the backend session. So again, I have created these two folders, front end as well as the backend. And the front end would be mainly focused on our UI of the application, what the user will be showed, and the backend would be having all the all the server configuration as well as the data handling along with configuration with the MongoDB, so that our data from the front end could reach the server, as well as that data would be stored within our backend or the database that we will be using. So yeah, so starting with the minimalistic UI that we would be designing through our front-end application. So initially I would be creating a simple HTML file for the structure purposes. So and again giving two more files, namely CSS and GS for the design and the functionality. So I have given main.css for the styling, and the functionality would be main.js. So this whole process would be uh, like collectively using all our previous knowledge and applying it in this module that we will be covering on. So initially, as I have already told you that I have created this boilerplate by using a code extension within the VS Code. And again, so just by hitting exclamation mark and clicking and hitting enter, so I would be getting a boiler template code for the HTML over which I can define any of the tag. So again, hello, but that would be notes. So let's test this out. So again, I have told you another extension about live server. So definitely we would be using that by right clicking over it in the pop-up menu. So we can see open with live server. So just by clicking over it, so let me open this within my main desktop. Yeah, cool. So basically this application would be opened within our live server. So what it will be containing is the front end, that is our main folder name, along with the index.html file in which we are running. Awesome. So I believe it would be taking a little more time, so we can shift to the our normal basic approach. Like I would be just opening the front-end HTML file with normal file opener. So again, you can see over here, like I have used, you can see the index.html file over there, and you can see h1 tag over here. And again, by clicking on our developer tool, so we can also check what uh, what are all the elements that are present within the index.html file. So by clicking on the selection tool and by hovering over the element that we would be uh, hovering over it, and again we can see the h1 tag already contain our notes text. And yeah, so our index.html is ready. So now we will be making a minimalistic UI to show to our users. So that would be containing a simple heading that have the navigation bar along with the whole list of notes, along with some button, for example, through which I can add my notes, along with I can do some functionality. So that would we would be doing by JS. So let's create a navigation bar. So we have for the navigation bar, so we have already have a tag named as nav. So nav is dedicated towards representing a navigation bar. So again, that would be containing a list of items, like a list through which we can navigate over each other. So the initial one, it would be containing a simple uh, heading. So that would be notes. So I would be representing it as a simple span tag notes. And again, I would be giving us some class for some designing, and then representing a list of navigation through which we can go over. So that would be represented by a simple ul tag. Ul represent for unordered list. So I will be creating a list of all the items that will be present within the navigation bar, and all the list item would be containing anchor tag. Anchor tag represent linking of the file. So basically, I can link a particular index.html file to another file, or I can reference it within the page, like having an internal linking as well as external linking. So I would be representing that also. And again, by going over, like, so I definitely do have a button to add. So create note, and again, so that would be a home page, and we definitely should have view notes page. Awesome. So that again should be contained within the anchor tag, and created a boilerplate and added a navigation bar over here, and again added a span for displaying a heading. Or instead of span, we can also use the heading tag, header tag, that represented by h1 to h6. So I would be using h2 tag that represent me a more detailed text over the screen. And again, let me check over the Chrome browser. So here it what I get. So but I don't want to define my navigation bar like this. So I would be adding some CSS, and again for that I would be linking my main.css file to the HTML document through the link tag. Again, I would be giving the reference to it, like where my file is present. So again, it's within the main current folder named as main.css. And again, I would be giving a reference, like what this file would be containing. So by giving a relevance tag, so this file contain a style sheet, the whole style sheet. And again, so successfully linking my CSS file to the main index.html file. And now I can start my styling over here. And now by defining a class name to this navigation tag, so I would be giving a class name, for example, notes navigation bar. So again, using a relevant class name according to the tags that we are using. So that would be again, these texts are again self-descriptive, like why we are using this particular, uh, at which component and for which tag the all the CSS properties are being defined. So again, by having a view over this particular text. So we can see like for the note taking application, so we have a navigation bar. So we are defining a style for our navigation bar. So again, the name should be descriptive that we are defining. So again, by saving this, so definitely we have our class. So the property that we have focused over in our module 2, in our HTML and CSS module. So again, we have studied about display flex. So I don't want my text to be displayed vertically. Rather, that would be horizontally aligned, like side by side from left to right. So what I can do is by declaring simply display flex. So how it will be reacting to our main in HTML tags are, it would be separate all the tag and all the child element that are already available within this nav tag. So that would be taking a flexible width. So again, this nav tag has two child. So initially the h1 and the ul, and other like these tags, the li and the anchor tag are the sub child of nav tag. Rather, they are the child of direct child of ul tag. So these li won't be affected by the flex that have been given within this nav tag. So again, when I click on save and hit refresh, again, these are aligned side by side. But again, I also want to align these side by side. So what I will be doing is I would be assigning a new class name to it and giving notes navigation link list. So what it denotes is we have a note we have a navigation bar that contain list of links. Again, we have whole list of links. So what I will be doing, just copy and pasting within the this, and I will be declaring display flex again. So again, hitting refresh. So it has given us side by side view of all the stuff. So again, we don't want these dots as these dots are overlapping with each other. So what I will do is, again, I have another view over it. So that's again called list item, list child type. So I defined it none. So by hitting refresh, so all the dots would be disappeared. So again, it's another property list child type. So there are many other properties too, like if I want to display desk or square or simple circle. So again, that can be defined over here. And either we can also define by giving it in the attributes in the UL tag. But again, with the concerning aspect, and as the time went on, so we have already changed our workflow from the old attribute styling to the main CSS styling, so that a user can well define and all the text would be customizable according to the user need. So that's why we have different a bunch of properties that can be defined, that can be triggered through the HTML file. So getting back toward this, so we have this list style type for removing all the circles beside these list items. So we have successfully defined this. So I will need some margin, like these are all stick towards each other. So what I will do is just create some margin over it. And again, before that, so what I will be doing is I want to change the font family or the font style of it. That I can do it by giving the body tag. So it represent the body tag, main body tag. So I would be just giving font family that would be defining what type of font I want to give. Like it can be Arial, Roboto, or simple Georgia Times New Roman or something else. So I would be giving a uh, simple Roboto system, like this is sans serif font family. So if I go back to my original browser, so if I hit refresh, so again you can see all the font have been changed, all the font style have been changed. So basically I have done change it to the simple sans serif font family. And again, so now, if you go to any of the like website, so basically we in the navigation bar we have the main title displayed on the left hand side, and we have link on the right hand side. So how I can do is by separating these two. If again you click on the selection tool, let me increase the size for this. And if I click on this selection tool and hover over the main nav element and again click over it, so you can see like the nav element again itself represent both the UL tag. Let me represent it to you. The H2 tag take a width of 66 pixel and UL element take a width of 253 pixel, and the rest of the space is empty, represented by the slashes over here. So these space is empty. So what I want to do is I want to define like my first element should be on the left hand side and the second would be right hand side, and there should be space in between these two elements. So again, as I represented, there should be space in between these two elements. So again, we have another property like we have justify content, and again as I have represented, I want space between them. So again, space between these two elements. So when I go back and hit refresh, again you can see over here my both element are separated from each other. The initial heading is toward left and my other thing is toward right, all the links. So again now uh, I would be declaring, I would be having a margin. So these again are stuck with each other. So I want to create some margin over it. So how can I do it? This again by using the class note navigation links link item that represent the particular list item. And again, I would be giving the same class name to all of this. As I don't want to write repetitive style CSS for each and every element, so I would be giving the same class name to all these three link list items, and I would be defining a single CSS over the main.css file. So I would be writing like I need a margin of left hand side. So left mean that a margin would be given over the left hand side over I need it at least of 15 pixel. Again when I hit refresh, so again spaces are there over here, and again if you click on this selection tool and hover over this list items, so you can see this orange color box appeared. So that's nothing but a margin is given. So again blue box defined the content of the main tag, li tag, and the orange represent the margin that have been given. And again if you go below this in the style tab and scroll down over this, so you can see a box model appeared over the screen. So that again the main box model defining what uh, what length and what height and width this content take, what's the padding, what's the border, and again what is the margin. Again you can see over here 15 is written over the left hand side and rest are these only minus symbol or hyphen symbol. So again that represent only left have been given a margin of 15 pixels, the rest all are null or zero, you can say. And then we have successfully created our initial navigation, but again that required some kind of styling. So again I would be giving a particular background color to it, so that would be a simple blue. So it's a blue color background, but again you can see over here a why I don't want this white uh, patches to be appeared over the screen. So my navigation bars should be stuck at toward the end of the screen. So how can I do this is by, so again if you go to the element tag, I have defined that a body already do have a default margin over it with a margin of 8 pixel all over its sides. So I would be removing this. So I would be just typing as margin 0. So what it will do is it will just remove all the margin that are bounded by the body, default body, and again I need some spacing from this edge to nodes. So what I will be doing is I would again go back to this navigation element And again, I would be giving padding, not margin. Again, representing the box model, the all the background color that you see over here. So background color is given to the padding as well as content. And if you see below this, again, padding, the border color is given to the padding as well as the content. So content would be shifted toward that. If I give margin, so margin does not have the background color. So that's why again my empty white space would be again visible over the screen if you want to test it out. So you can again write your own CSS while you are within the browser. So how can you do this? By just click on the element and go to the style tab. Again, within the element dot style attribute, this element, so you can write your own margin by just writing margin. I need 10 pixel. So again, you can see like white space have been appeared over the navigation bar, and below in the box model again we have the margin of 10 pixel all around the sides. So instead of margin, if I give padding, so you can see now like the padding have been given a total size of 10 pixel all around the content, and again padding have also been colored with the background color space. So that's why it's necessary to use padding if we want to have some spacing between the main tag as well as the side of the tag. So that's why. So again, if you see over here, so again these elements are not in the middle. So how can I just make this all the elements that are visible over the left side of the screen in the middle? So that can be done by using a simple another property. So I would be writing simply align item center. So what it does is all the elements that are present within this flex link list, so basically that would be align center. And again, this align item center property do work with only display flex as well as grid system. None other than if you are using simply block. So again, this align item attribute won't work. So again, when I click on save and hit refresh, so again you can see like these elements are all aligned center at the center. And again, if you want to test it out, how it changed is its property. So you can just untick this checkbox that you can see over here, and by unchecking this, so you can see what type of changes have been done. So basically, it has mathematically derived centered. And again, yeah, so you can so I must have to give some padding over here. So I need to give a padding of 10 pixel over here. So yeah, just by clicking hitting refresh, so again, yeah, my padding have been given, but I don't want to give padding from top to bottom. So again, while giving a simple value, so mm, many of the key property that are defined within the CSS, so they have, if for example padding margin, so we can give four value that represent my top, right, bottom, left. Like the upper side, the right side, the bottom side, and the left side moving clockwise. So we are giving padding clockwise direction. So what I want is I don't want to give padding top and the bottom. So I would be writing just top and bottom as 0. And I want to just give padding right and left. So I would be defining 10 pixel to the right and 10 pixel to the left. So what it do is, if you see now, it is having a padding of 10 pixel up and below. When I hit refresh, again the size reduce as my padding have gone and only the padding have been applied over the left and the right hand side. So I would be increasing the size by 10 to 20 pixel. So again, yeah, it look more clear. So now I would be just moving back toward this, and again I would be giving a simple navigation heading, And again, I would be changing the color of the font that's being used. And again, that can be done achieved by simple color tag. Again, there is a difference between the simple background color as well as color. Background color define the color at the background, and the color define the color of the text that's away, being visible over the screen. So I want it a simple white color. And if you hover over this, if you are in the VS Code, so you can see the RGB color code of this, or you can select by moving this color picker tool along with, if you click over here, so this is a hexa code along with HSL code, that's hue, saturation and illumination code. And again, there are three type of code that can be defined over from here. So I would be using a simple hex code over here. So again, my color of the heading have been changed to white. So now again our we are moving toward the completion of our navigation bar. So again, I need the color white here too. So what I will be doing is again representing my color to white. Yeah, cool. So at last, I don't want a background color of this button. So what I will be doing is I would be explicitly giving a new tag named as uh, navigation add notes button. Again, copy and pasting within the main.css file, and again defining I don't need the background color. So I would be giving it as a transparent. So again, hitting refresh. So again, the color have been disappeared, but again we have to change the color of the text, as well as we have to disable this border that is visible over the screen. So again, when I want to disable border, so I would be writing just border attribute with along with I don't need a border, so I would be writing just none. So again, hitting refresh, so our border is none. And again, when I hover over these elements, so my cursor should be changed to a pointer, like a hand type tool should be appear over there, so that our, like it should look like it, the button is have like the button has a click element over it. So what we can do is by defining the cursor property over here with the value of pointer, and again hitting refresh. So my pointer have been changed to from default cursor to the pointer cursor, pointing the button can be clicked. And again, same as I want to change the color of the text, and again to white. Yeah, cool. So it look more clearer. So again, I need to give my font. I can increase or decrease the font size by using the font size uh, property. And again, that could be as much as many pixel. So you can see over here, like this size have been increased, but by default, the font size is 16 pixel. So basically, when you hit refresh, so you can see the size have been changed from the default. The button default font size is 13 pixels, so I have changed from 13 to 16 by the default text size that is appeared on the screen. So yeah, we have successfully created our navigation bar, but now we would be creating other elements, like we do have our we do have to display our node in the new node tab, as well as we have to create a new node. So how can I do this as, so at the home, so I can again declare a simple division that represent a there. Again, that would be visible over here. So again, I would be giving it a class. So again, that can be represented by h3. So it's a small designing element that I'm proceeding with. So that would be, I would be representing it as a simple notes home div. So again, I would be aligning the text at center by using the text align center property. So again, my text have been aligned at the center, and again, uh, I want to increase the size of this height there. So what I will be doing is I would be writing font size as, for example, 40 pixel. Like that would be enough to display the text. Yeah, cool. So again, I would be writing another element as h1 take notes, representing by a simple class name. So this is our main text that would be appeared within our home page. So that would be containing nothing but a simple uh, title that would be displayed over the home screen. So again, going to the index.html file and again notes header. So I need to define this note headers as font size of 60 pixels. So that would be appeared a little bit larger than the previous one. And again, the color should be changed to like red or off red if you want. Again, yeah, cool. So again, I would be increasing the size of it. And yeah, so this is, you can display it as a small home page over which it represent us to take the notes, and by clicking on this home screen, so we should come back to our index.html page. So now we would be linking different HTML pages from each other. So what I will be writing is index.html, and by clicking over this particular, it should be href. So anchor tag should contain an attribute name as href, again same as this, representing hyper link reference. So what this home, if I click on this home button, so where it should be taken. So again, writing another href represented by us, again take notes.html page. So again, that would be contained within this folder. And again, when I hit a new file name, so the file name should be same as that of this index.html. Oh, this notetick HTML file. So that I have mentioned within this and anchor reference. So if I hit refresh, so you can see the color have been changed. So I don't want to change the color of these hyper anchor tags. So what I will be doing is simply copy and pasting this particular class name over here, and I would be defining a CSS as a simple color of white that I want to define. And now I have already declared a color as white. So I don't want to redeclare it. So what I can do is I can use a comma separator and represent another class name. So that represent these two class name would be having same type of properties that they have. So again hitting refresh, so the color have been changed to white, and again I don't want to display this underline. So what I will be doing is, so again heading again does not have any property that have an underline. So we just want to change this particular link at value. So I would be redeclaring it, and I would be writing text decoration as null. So basically, underline represent a simple text decoration. And again, when I hit refresh, so a line have been disappeared. So yeah, again, when I click on this home page, so it redirect me to index.html. You can see over here, my whole page refresh itself. When I click on view notes page, so again, it is showing me an empty page. Again, that define like this index note take HTML does not contain anything. But if I again write this boilerplate code, you can see over here, like the notes take notes.html file, and when I hit refresh, so that have been changed to document as I've declared the document title over here. So again, that would be take notes. The title should be take notes. So again, my title have been changed to take notes. And yeah, so here, or it should be view notes as we have declared the main text as view notes. So again, that was the mistake. So we have to redeclare this. We have to change the file name from view notes or take notes to view notes. Again, that would be view notes. And this view note file again should share the same uh, CSS file as we have declared earlier in the index.html file. So what I will be doing is I would be just simply copy and pasting this particular link tag reference over here. And again in the body tag, I again want to define the whole navigation bar over here. So I would be copying this navigation bar and pasting within the view notes section. So again, when I hit refresh, so the take note have been changed to view notes. So when I hit refresh and again go back to the view notes, again, this is a view note file. If you want to test it out, so you can write a simple division representing view notes. So again, hitting refresh. So you can see over here view notes. When I again go back to home page, so that is take notes. So this is a simple link, external linking of documents. So how we can link one document to another. So I can simply go to view notes as well as return back to the home page. So again the third page would be the create note page, and I would be creating that too. So create note.html. So again that would be containing the same procedure that we have like. So instead of redeclaring file and copy and pasting each and every element, so what I will be doing is I would be just copy and pasting this view HTML note and renaming it as create notes.html. So again, my already the code is present over here. So I would be just changing the title over here and again the links over here. So representing again that this will not be a button, rather than it will be a simple link. And yeah, so I would be doing the same type of changes over here, and I would be removing the CSS of the button too. Cool. So I would be having a reference to it, defining the main create notes.html page, and again giving the same reference so that each and every reference, if I go to each any page, so the link should point to only a single file that I want to make changes. So again, the code must be same, and this title represent note taking application demo scalar. So if I hit refresh, so again you can see over here like the title have been changed to note taking application. And if I want to go to each any of the page, so what I will be doing, so initially we are at index.html page, and now we are at view notes page, and now we are at create note page. If I go back to create note and move this create notes and hit refresh, yeah, we are at create note, then view notes, then home page. Yeah, cool. So we have successfully done our initial step. So again, when I go to any of the page, so again, I should represent at which page I am. So I would be changing the color of the link that are given over here. How can I do this is by like I can choose this by and write it is an active link. So I have declared a new class with the name of node navigation link active. So what it will do is this class at any of the tag, when I give this particular class name, so the color would be changed to, for example, red color. So representing, and along with it will be displaying a underline text. So that will be again the text decoration as underline. Again, when I am home page. So the file name is index.html. So I would be going to index.html file again. So I would be giving the class name to it. Again, I am at index.html home page. So I would be giving a class to this anchor tag. giving note navigation link active. So when I hit refresh, so again it represent me a red color text representing home along with the underline. And when I go to view notes, though, so the file name is view-notes.html. Going back to that, and again that represent me. Again, I would be changing the class of this particular element, representing it as node navigation link active. And again, going to the third file, create notes. So again, I have a new element over here. So again, create note element. When I change the class name of this, so basically I would be handling all these linked together. So when I click on home, so the color have been changed. When I go to view notes, so the color have been changed, and hence same as that of create notes. So we know at which page we are for now. So what I want to do is when I go to view notes, so a list of notes should be visible over here. And when I go to create notes, so I should be displayed a text box over which I can write a particular, uh, you can say note. And when I click on submit, so a note should be given to our backend, and that should be stored within our main Mongo database. So now I would be completing this view node section. So in this view node section, so again, I instead of this main.css file, so I would be writing a new file named as view nodes.css, so that our code base for the style sheet should be separated from each other, so that no, if by mistake I have used a class name again in any of the file, so that should not affect the previous code that I have written. So again, for that I would be declaring a new css file, and I would be giving this new css file reference to this view nodes html, none other than that, so that my main index.html file and other the create nodes.html file should not be affected from this css file. So again, when I just how can I do that? Again, by clicking pasting the same link over it and just changing the name from we have the main.css file already present over here, and again I would be redeclaring this a new css file named as view nodes. So again, all the structure that I would be defining over here, so that would be total style sheet would be contained within this view node section. So again, the step that I've performed over here. So basically, I have modularized my whole functionality. For example, I have not basically written my whole code within a single page. What is the benefit of writing these type of modular code is when I need this particular type of file. So at that instance of point, so the file would be downloaded. Rather, the file won't be affecting our main source code that we have already written, or the user is viewing that page. So this type of approach, modularizing all the stuff, definitely give us a power to write an efficient and effective code. And again, so yeah, we are at the view nodes page. So it should uh, initially, or this is the main division. So that would be containing the main heading of the tag and view notes header. So that would be containing a simple view note text over here. And again, that have a font size of, let's suppose, 30 pixel. And I want to have give a weight. Font weight mean whether I want to make it bold or light. You can see over here, if I give a font weight of 700 pixel, no 700, so it would be darker, somewhat darker. And if I give it as 100 pixels, so it would be lighter. So basically, it font weight have a value of 100, 200, 300 till 900. So we have 100 till 900 value. I cannot define it as 109 or something. It has 100, 200, 300, all the multiples of 100 basically. So I would be making it as a 900 font weight, and again that represent the highest bold value that can be given, or I can write 700 a lit bolder value, but it represent a bold value. And again, I want to display the text in the center of the screen. So again, I have property text align center, and again I want to give some space from top and bottom. So again, either I can use padding or margin, but at this point don't have a background color or something. So again, I would be using margin at this place, as I want to separate two tags from each other. So again, at this point of time, the margin would be our best approach. So again, that I would be giving 20 pixel. Awesome. So we are at the view node page, and now I would be creating this header. So again, I was explaining about why we are using margins for separating two tags from each other. And again, when I hit refresh, so some spacing have been given from the top as well as the bottom. And now, yeah. So basically, I would be increasing font size. Yeah. So basically, going back to the view node page. So again, I must have to display some type of list. Like we have a list of nodes that are gathered within our database. So I have to gather that and display it over the screen. So how can I do that? Is by using a simply again the list tag, UL tag, and again giving the li item. So I would be having a block like of structure that is displayed over the screen. And again, uh, hey one, so representing that as a list. So I would be rather representing it as a simple common text, visual text. I would be having all the list of the text within displayed within the block. So how can I do that? Is by view note block and giving a CSS to it. So I would be giving the same class name to all of the blocks that are represented over here, so that they must be sharing the same type of CSS that is being defined over here now. So that should uh, have an infinite amount of height, but they should have a particular width. So they must have a maximum width of 300 pixel. So the content must not exceed the 300 pixel capacity that we have. Again, that should that should have a background color of somewhat like of uh, a faded uh, black color. So representing by, you can toggle over the opacity of the background that can be set with the third parameter. That is, I have used RGBA and A attribute that represent RGB value that represents 000, defining by a simple black color. And again, the 02 represent the opacity of the black color that I want to give to the block that is being represented. And again, when I hit refresh, so you can see over here, the width 300 pixels have been given. And again, if uh, if you can see over here, so I want to have some margin along with it. So margin of 10 pixels. So you can definitely see what type of block are being made. So basically they have a width of 300 pixels, but they do have a definite height of the content that are contained within this block. So again, by using the list style type property, so I don't want to display this particular circle, so I have used this property and again hit refresh, so that is again gone. So now for this instance, so I want to display three block on a single row. So how can I declare that? By using again the next property, our grid. So we have a list. So again, I would be declaring a simple grid to the parent element of all these three containers. And again, I would be declaring that as display grid. And now we have a property. We can display grid by a property as grid. template columns. So again, what type of what width I want to give to these three containers. So I want to give an equal width. So I can write one FR, one FR, one FR. FR represent a one fragment of each, so that these whole height that are visible from here to here, that whole height would be whole width would be divided into three equal parts. So when I hit refresh, when I again save and hit refresh, so again these three have been divided into three equal parts, and again these block, if you see over here in the element tag, and if you see over here, so these block again have to be centralized from each other. So again that can be done by using a simple auto property. So again, as I have defined, so we have I want to just define, I just want to define a single or equal margin from left hand side border over here. So if you can see over here, so we don't have a margin, and also the content is not at the center by using the auto property over here. So basically we can define equal margin from the left and the right hand side. So we have declared over here. So yeah, for now, and again giving some type of padding to this block. So we want to have some type of uh, spacing between the content and the border. And yeah, so I would be declaring a padding of 10 pixel. So yeah, the block is, and the item content is visible more clear. So instead of background color, what if I give a shadow? So again, a shadow have another property. So we have a box shadow. So that again represent our x, y, the offset as well as the width that I want to give to the shadow. And again, which type of color that I want to give to the shadow. So basically you can, uh, I can display over the screen. So by giving a simple black shadow over here, so it look more clearer and more type of hovered container over the screen, so that the UI is more minimalistic now. And again, if I want to give some type of border radius over it, so our container must be circular in shape, not much circular, rather small, having border radius at the edges, so they should not be sharpened. So I would be just blunting all the borders. So by using which type of border I want to give, if I used 30 pixel border, so the again it is clearly visible that my borders are rounded, but I just want to have a light blunt over the edges. So again, I have given a 4 pixel radius over the border, and again my sides are blunt. And now, so it looks cool, like if I display it as a simple lorem text, and if I want to contain my notes within it, so again it's looking nice as previous. So again, I would be giving somewhat more padding to it. And now it should do have again, we have a simple text over it, and we also do have an author over here. So I would be defining as author by simply writing it, and again that should be separated from each other. And view note author. So again, each note have been created by a particular person, so representing by author. So I would be giving a color of faded white color, or you can say a gray color, gray, or yeah, it look more, or I can change the color to somewhat green in color. It's not visible much, but awesome. So giving some margin to it from the top, and giving it as a normal 10 pixel. So again, my these two containers are separated from each other, who has made this, and again who is the author, and again uh, so we have successfully created a particular component from where we can view our nodes. And again, now I would be deleting these all three containers. So I don't want these containers to be visible over the screen. So that would be containing a single node. And now, so I would be creating, so now it's the turn for creating new nodes. So again, we have the create node HTML, and we have to create a new CSS file, create node.css, and again by hitting enter, so we have created the file, and again we have to link that file to the document. So don't forget that also. And now, so we have to give the particular relevance to it, what type of data that the CSS file contain. So it contains a style sheet. So now, so we have, again, I would be giving the same create node header to it, and again with a margin of 20 pixel and font size of 40 pixel, and again text align center. So again, my text or the heading would be visible over the screen with all the property. Correct. So here I would be creating a simple text box, as well as I would be giving a simple input box along with a submit button. So I would be creating that document. So I would be creating a simple div with uh, create not form class. So again, I would be creating a form. So in this form, so what it will be containing is have a it do it basically have a flexible margin. So but beside that, so basically that would have width of maximum content. So whatever content it contains, so basically the division should be as big as the maximum content that it have. So basically if I write here and hit enter, so basically the width of this particular container is as much as the content it have. So again, if I use margin, simple margin 0, that represent my top and bottom values, and auto, that represent my left and right values. When I hit refresh, so basically that is center aligned. My whole div is center aligned. And again, going back to this, so I would be creating a simple text area. So in the text area, so I can resize this, and again I can write stuff within the text area, and I can copy and paste the value from it, and again send it back to my server. And again, yeah, so I would be giving initial class name of create node form text area, and defining the particular default property to it. So I would be defining a height of, for example, 500 pixel, and again the width of 800 pixel, let's suppose, and so it is quite big. So we can reduce the size, and now it's much cleaner. And again, I would be I can display a single placeholder over it, so that represent me a particular value that I can enter. So write notes over here, and again I can write notes over here, and again it can contain a second input box that can contain a simple uh, write your name. Simply write your name, that is contained within the placeholder attribute, and again I can give the type as a simple text box, so it will contain all the textual value. And again I can write my name over here, and I can write notes over here. And again, the width must be 100%. So again, my width is maximum content. So according to the content that it have, so defining this particular division element, and if I give the width 100% to it, and again, yeah, the width is 100% again. So but my initial width have been given to 500 pixels. So again, I would be giving the same width to it, again representing it as a text box. I have given the class name to it, and again I would be defining the CSS for it, and again for the CSS I would be giving a width of 500 pixels. Again, the width is same, and again defining the font size of a bit bigger so that it can be bit visible over the screen, and I can write my name over here, and this is a new note. Okay, so I have successfully created a particular text area and as along with the author field. And again, I need to create a button through which after click over it, so that can send a request to the server and our data would be visible over the view notes window. So I would be writing save, I would be creating a save note button and defining a particular CSS to it. So again, I would be creating a new class name to it and giving form button simple. So again, I would be creating a uh, simple looking button, giving some padding to it, like 10 pixel, and again enlarging the font size of it to 20 pixel, let's suppose, and giving a background color of simply that's the again the blue color that get used within the main navigation bar. Again, I would be declaring a color as white and giving border to none, displaying no border and giving some kind of border radius to blunting all the sides. Awesome. So I would be declaring it as margin 0 auto again for centering out this particular division. So what I will be doing is I will be creating this and writing a small group of inline CSS or just text align center. So that would be just a second, again by clicking over here. So my button is visible over the, okay, it's a div. Okay, so that's already centered aligned. So basically I would be creating a new class name, button wrap. So this is a class of a division. So I would be maintaining a new class, giving all the property that we have written inline over here. And I would be writing a margin top of 20 pixel, let's suppose. So that margin would be some kind of spacing would be there for the screen. So yeah, now our whole module have been completed, and I just last is declaring a cursor pointer to it, so that whenever I hover over here, so a pointer would be appeared. So now if like I want to create some animation, if I hover over the button as well as if I click over it, it should have some animation. So how can I do that is by using some pseudo properties that we have. So by using the hover property, pseudo property, so basically used by colon along with the keyword, like I want to hover over the button and it should have some change visible. So it should, the background color should change to somewhat like darker blue when I hit refresh. So when I go back to the screen and hover over it, so my background color have been changed somewhat darker. So again, but it is abruptly changing, but I want some type of animation visible over the screen. So I would be using another property known as transition. So again, the transition property is again same as that of animation, but it have a bunch of difference. Like I don't have to define any keyword, But this transition works whenever these pseudo selectors are like available. So I want to give a transition of 0.5 second. So when I hit refresh, so again when I hover over it, so it does not change the color abruptly, rather it transition the color from the initial position to the final position. So again, when I click over the button, so again we have another attribute named as active. When our button is active, when my mouse is being clicked over the screen, over the button, so it should be somewhat shortened down. So I would be using a transform property and that have a value of scale. So I would be giving a scale of how much it should be scaled down. So so the initial value is 1. So I would be writing zero point 0.9 to scale down the value. Again hitting refresh. Now, when I click over the button, so it somewhat a bit scaled down. And when I just release the button press, so again it expand to its original position. So now we have successfully created the main UI of the component. Again, that have a home page. Again, we have a view node page, and the third one we have the create nodes page. So now we would be now working with the main GS file. So what I would be writing is initially we have the main.js file again at the view node. So how our nodes would be visible? So again, when our page refreshes, so basically whenever a function should be there, so I would be creating a simple function by arrow notation. So again, that represent me of fetch nodes from the server. So simply fetch nodes. So whenever I call this particular function over the over my HTML file, so what it does is it basically return me all the values as well as it represent all the value that are present from the backend and display it on the front end. So for now, for example, I have a bunch of value. I have an array of all the value, so basically representing by a simple array of objects. So basically contain nots, not contain a simple, this is new not, and defining another property as author. So author is ABC. And again, I have a second value over here. So again, representing by, if I go back to the view nodes and I would be just copy and pasting this value over here. And this is a new node that I would be seeing. Okay, yeah, cool. So it is a new node, and again the author is Raghav. And again, when I have to fetch this array, for example, that you can represent this array is coming from the backend. So backend is throwing a array of objects. So I have gathered this object within the particular variable array, and I want to display this array to our view nodes page. So what I can do is I would be simply writing, I would be fetching like I would be creating a new li element. I would be appending this to the main UL tag. So I would be declaring an ID over here and represented as view nodes list. So again, I have given the ID to it, and again I would be referencing this ID to this main fetch nodes constant. So node list tag. So again, we would be having a reference to document, the main DOM element, document dot get element by ID. So again, I would be referencing to with the same ID that are being declared over the HTML file. So I have referenced this particular file, and I would be having a simple for loop as we have the array within it. So I would be declaring a simple for loop. So I have to fetch all the object. I have to map it over the li tag, and then I have to append that li tag to this note list tag. So how can I do this? I would be declaring a simple loop over, and I can iterate over this array that are visible over the screen. So we can see this note list, simple notes list. So simple array that I is equal to 0 and I should be less than node array dot length, and I should be plus plus, like it should be iterated over each and every element. So what if it will be doing it is it will be creating a new tag representing by const tag is equal to. So again, I would be using template strings as I've earlier mentioned within the module 3 when we are working with JavaScript. So I would be using this template literals or template strings. So I would be creating a new li element. So again, I would be copy and pasting this particular li element tag from over here. And I would be declaring it like this, and basically using the same format that are declared over here. So the first division represent us all the nodes, and again the second division represent us with the author name. So basically having a class of this. Okay, so how can I insert this particular uh, element to this object is by using dollar sign along with this curly braces, and inside this I can use this nodes array note list of element of I. Like it would be taking this particular first element and that would be mapped within this module, and then I would be taking notes. So how can I, what it return is basically it return me simple an object containing notes as well as author. So it send me an object. So how can I use this object is by using dot notation dot author oh dot not, and again in the second iteration, so I have to give the author name, so I would be writing notes list of ith element dot author. So that represent me the note and the author visible over the within the li element, and I need to append it to this note list tag. So how can I do that is by inside this for loop only. So I would be writing note list tag dot append child, and I would be writing simply passing this tag over this function. So again, when I go back to this view note, so I would be commenting this out. I would be commenting this li tag. Again, hit refresh. So that would be displayed nothing as I am not called this function yet. And now initially I have to link this main.js file to this view node.html. So what I can do is again by writing a simple script tag, by passing a simple source element into it, and again by passing the main.js file to it, referencing to it, and again now we have successfully connected to our main.js file. And at this instance of time I can call this fetch not function, and now when I call this fetch not function, so I can see all the errors that are coming up from the console. So we can demonstrate this in the live environment. So where I am lagging. So basically I am lagging at append child function, fail to execute append child on node. So basically here is the error that I am lagging with. So basically it have pushed this particular node list tag, and I just will represent this, so that surely gives me a simple UL tag. So I have created a simple tag over here. Okay, so I have to append this to the HTML note. I have to append the child. So this is not a child; it's a simple string that we have made. So what I can do is simply node tag list dot inner HTML, and I want to append. If I use this, so it just what it basically does, it just it take all the text, it remove all the text within this particular tag and add this to it, but we want to append all the text, we does not want to remove the previous text. So I need to use this plus equal to operator. That means I am appending the this particular string to the existing inner.html that is available within this node. list tag. So when I again hit refresh, so we have successfully get these two nodes that are visible over the screen. And again, if I made any changes to it, this is a new node. And hi everyone. Again, that is updating from the object that we have created. And now we have successfully get our node, but now we want to take this node list from our API. Now at our server time. So we get back to, we just close the server and we get back to our backend folder. And now we would be creating our backend server. So defining our main server.js file. And again, I would be initializing this folder as I would be just initially go to this backend folder. So I have changed my directory to the backend folder and I would be writing npm init. Again, that would be initializing a whole npm string over here. So the utility package walkthrough. Okay, so again, I am going to initialize the whole repository. Again, it is asking me for package name along with a bunch of operation. So again, I would be hitting an enter, and at last, a simple package.json file would be created. And again, in this package.json file, so I would be having a start script already available over here. So again, I have already declared the server.js file, and hence a start script is available over here. So again, in the server file, so again, I would be installing some of the modules that I will be using, or rather than this, so I would be using all the modules that are available in our previous module. So again, I would be going back to my previous module. So in module 5, in which we have declared all the server and the schemas. Again, I would be opening my schema and copy and pasting within our current code base. So I would be declaring a schema.js. So for this reference, so you can view the previous module, but for now, so I would be just removing all the stuff from here, and rather than this, I would be writing these two things like author as well as notes. Again, this Mongo schema do contain these two fields, that is author and notes, and that contain a new user model within our Mongo database, and that would be saved within our Mongo. And now we have successfully created our Mongo, and again now we have to connect to our database. So what I'll do is simply again going back to our module 5, and I would be just simply and pasting my connect to DB database, connect mongo.js. Again we have to pre-install our requirement. Again, npm install mongoose. Okay, npm install mongoose. So it will install all the requirement for the mongoose. And again, so we will be writing the, we would be installing a second module, that is express. So our main express server, so through which, and now I would be copying and pasting the code for the main r server.js file. So basically this is index.js. So yeah, this is the main code. So I would be just pasting my main code server.js in the server.js. So now what this code contains, I explaining that again. So I have created a simple express server by using the express module that we have installed it. And again, I want to connect that particular server to the database. So here I have used this connect mongo.js module, and I would be connecting to the Mongo module by using this function. I have declared the function earlier in the module 5, and now I would be using this function in this server. So basically I have to redeclare the path as I have changed the file name. So basically it's connect mongo. So basically I will be using this connect function, and that is used within this particular line number 37 when I initiate my server at port number 4300. And again, I have used this Express server and made a new instance, and now I have declared, I have used the schema, or it's basically a Mongo schema that have been earlier made, and now I would be removing all these elements from here, and again, awesome. So basically in this file, so just we have declared our Express server, and that is again initialized at port number 4300, and that should return me a response of, so to test it out, return a response of simply true. Again, for testing our server out, so initially I would be just declaring it as npm start, as in the package.json. I have written a start script as node server.js, so we don't have to redeclare where we have to start our server. So again, we have successfully connected to the database and our server have been started. Again, for testing all the functionality out, so I would be using Postman, and again I have this particular uh, host present over the get URL request URL screen or the input, and again let me increase the size. Yeah, so basically let me reduce the size by one, and now I would be using the URL as 127.0.0.1 that represent the local host that we are using, and my main port is 4300. That should be same as that of that we have declared it at the time of execution. So basically app.listen at the port 4300. So basically we have written this, and again add a simple get request. So basically get is a method. So we have declared a method over here, and by making a simple get request over it, so it will return me true over the response screen over here. When I click on send, so it return me a simple true. So basically I need to make a post request, so that through this create notes screen, so I can declare my note and I can submit it the to the server. So how can I do this is just by checking this out, app.post. So I have simply made a post request. Again, when I restart my server and again hit the simple get request, so this time it won't be working. So again it give me error with an HTML page cannot get a simple slash. And now when I change this method from get to post, so basically I would be having a response of, when I click on send, so basically I would be getting a response of true. And again, now getting back to the main app.post screen, so basically I can take all the values coming from that particular screen over my server. So how can I do that is by going back to the body, and I would be using a simple raw data along with this JSON type of data string that we are getting to, and what type of data I want to pass. So basically we have two type of data. The initial one is not, and the second one is the author. So again, I would be declaring it as notes. So I would be passing notes to it. So this is a new note. And again, I would be passing a author as, again, I have already explained about the JSON. So basically the key and with the value pair that I am getting through over here. So basically that should be enclosed between the double quotes. So that's why. So basically proceeding by the colon, along with I would be giving a author of ABC. So again, when I hit send, so I have to get the particular data over here. So how can I do that is by simply writing like notes is equal to request dot body dot notes. So basically this notes that I've declared over here. So basically request dot body gives me this particular JSON object. So we have this JSON object and already parsed. So basically parse mean this JSON object have been converted to a simple JavaScript object without using this double quotes over here. So basically I would be just simply writing dot notes over here, and again when I hit console.log, and again at this point too it would be giving me a simple undefined method. So till now I won't be getting any response. So why is that? Again, I would be having a representation for that. Again, when I not simply request.body, let it be. And again, by going back to the postman, when I hit send, again it throw me an undefined error. It's not an error, rather it's a value of request.body. So basically, till now, I have not get this request.body from my JSON contract. So here we are missing something. So that's nothing but we have not configured our server to accept JSON. So how can I do that is by simply using app.use. So basically app.use is a function. So basically we are declaring the server should use some special configuration that we want to give. So basically I want to give like it should also accept JSON type of data responses. So basically how can I define that is it already have a JSON data response already available. So just we have to declare and redefine the configuration. So just by writing express.json along with this parenthesis. So basically express represent this express module. So it have a JSON function. So basically our app server would use this JSON configuration that are declared over here. Again by hitting save and hitting like reinitializing my server. Now this time when I hit on send, now we successfully got our body from the body that we have sent, raw data that we have sent over from the postman. So now we have note as well as author available on the server. At this instance of point, so what I will be doing is I would be creating a new database entry. So now again going back to the Mongo compass that we have covered in the earlier session in the module 5, again going back to the local host 27017, that is the default port of MongoDB. Again, I would be checking for whether we have the scalar entry. So I would be deleting all this scalar database, and I would be checking whether uh, I have used the same scalar database that is being declared over the MongoDB compass. And again, yeah. So basically, when I again restart the server, so what it will do is it will reinitialize our main MongoDB and it will create a server by itself. So you can see over here, a simple scalar have been defined and a user model have been created itself as we have declared here within the user schema. And now I want to post some entry over here. So again we will be using the same function. So basically using the user model that is being declared over here, user dot or not user dot, rather we can create a new entry from here. So basically new notes. So basically I would be creating a new instance for the user object. So basically declaring new user, and I would be passing the two note that I have got from the body. So basically request body, I would be redeclaring this variable at it represent what type of data it contains. So basically it's a request body, and the request body contain two parameters, that is not an author, and again the user database contain two type of schema, that is simply the author as well as notes. So what I will be doing is I will be declaring this author and notes from here. So basically it represent the key that it contains, and the value is have been come by this request body. So basically request body, so I would be going back to the notes. So postman, so request body dot uh, author author and request body dot notes. Cool. So we have successfully created a data entry in the Mongoose, but we yet have to store it at our database. So how can I do that is by using the save function. So basically user dot save, again by using this, but again saving consumes some time. So again I would be writing await over here to wait for the data to be saved within our MongoDB server, and then the response have been sent. Now when I hit refresh and again restart my server, and again when you do any changes to your server, so you have to restart your server so that changes must be reflected over the server. And again, when I hit send at this time, so basically we have an error over here. So we try to resolve this error, and for this error, so we can see at which line our error have came. So basically user.save is not a function. So basically, okay, user is not a function, rather it's new nodes.save, as we have made an instance, and instance contain all the function that is available. So again, I will be hitting refreshing the server, and again when I click on send from here, again this time we got true. And now getting back to the Mongo and hitting refresh, so we can see our first entry within our MongoDB server, MongoDB database. So basically, now I need to integrate this endpoint to our main front end. So how can I do that is by going back to the again to the front end, and I will go back to the create node.html, and I would be redeclaring again a script to it. And again that script would be containing again the source that represent create node.js. Again, it would be a JS file through which we will be sending all the requests. So again, fetch create node.js. At this time, we won't be using fetch. That's somewhat traditional. So basically, we would be using another approach that is known as Axios. So basically, you have to go to Axios CDN. So basically, so Axios is a library. So for using a library within an HTML document, so you have to link this library to the main HTML document. So I would be copying this URL, and I would be pasting your URL within this create nodes.html file within the script tag. So basically, I would be writing a script tag with a source of this particular URL. If you go to this URL, so you can check out particular code base is available within the URL that is visible over the screen. And again, this code base is nothing but a library that we will be using. And again, we have successfully used the we have successfully integrated the library with our main HTML document for the creating the nodes. And again, going back to the create node, and I would be using the simple Axios request. So I would be creating a function named as uh, create nodes. So what this will do is it would simply take two element from the main HTML page. So basically, I would be declaring two IDs separately, giving to input as well as text area. So basically, ID to not text, and I would be creating text area and giving it as document, simply document dot get element by ID. and and yeah, I would be redeclaring another variable. So basically, it represent me notes text and main author text, and again, so that would be author text. So I would be declaring this same ID that I've used within the JS module to this particular HTML tag. So giving the same ID to it, and again, when I want to use this particular create note element, when we click on save button. So basically, on clicking on save button, so this particular function should execute. So uh, like I want to give the value to it, simply value, not value, as it does not have an inner HTML type, rather it contain all the value within the value field. So basically, the initial thing is I want to console these two note text, as well as I want to use author text. Yeah. So getting back to our create notes, and whatever I type within this particular two fields, So when I click on save notes, so basically I have to refresh the page. So whatever I type within this particular two fields, so that's visible over the console. So we have successfully got the data, and now I have to send the data to the server. So how can I do that? Is by using simply, I would be creating again the async function. So again, I would be awaiting for the process to happen. So basically, again, that would be containing Axios. We would be using Axios for this. So again, Axios request would take some time to declare and again go back to the server and fetch some response. So again, we would be using the Axios function. So that will be taking some uh, that would be taking an object within it. So that contain a URL. So at which URL or the endpoint we want to hit, which method we will be using, and again what type of data we want to send. And again the URL would be same as that of we have declared within the postman. And now here would come a error. Now we would be using the simple post method. So I want to show you what type of error can come. So basically we would be using note taking application. So we would be declaring notes as well as author over here. So removing this. So basically notes contain the note text and author contain the author text. So now I would be taking the response from here, and I would be simply consoling the response that it got. Simply console the response. Now, when we get back to our Chrome and when I hit refresh, so basically, hi there, and my name is Raghav. When I click on save note, so it has given me an error, like the access have been blocked by quotes. So quotes is nothing but cross origin request. Like I am available on a particular server. A server cannot uh, throw a request to any other server. That would throw an error, as it will be a security issue if you want to send some data to Google anonymously. So basically, Google does not want your anonymous data or script to run on their server, and that can be too dangerous, and that can also corrupt their system. So basically, we cannot access cross-site scripting basically. So that's basically more towards the cyber security. And to resolve these type of errors, so what we will do is we just return back to our main server file, and again we just close our server. We would just install on a new library known as cores. So basically npm install cores, cors, simply represent cross origin request security. And then when it have been installed, so I would be just representing it as cores. I would be just declaring it, and again the server should use course configuration. So again the same configuration app.use course. So course is a function. So when I declare it, and again when I start the server, hit refresh, and the server has started. And now at this time when I hit refresh over here, and this is a new note, and my name is Raghav. When I click on save note, okay, till now the origin have been null. Okay, till okay, so it should be HTTP. So the request must be same. And now let it be ABC. Now this time our data have been transferred to the server. So it should have a particular protocol to send to the server. So we have used the HTTP protocol. So I forget to use this. So basically it has responded me with the data of true. So basically, response contain a whole bunch of object with the status, with a request, with header, and with configuration. But the main one that we have to focus is the data. What type of data we have get in response? So if the data is true, so basically we have to check if uh, response dot data is equal to true. So basically we have to get an alert of uh, node successfully saved. But if uh, the data, we didn't get any data, so we have to show an alert, something wrong happened, something wrong happened. So basically I have just written whether we get a response or not. If we get a response of true, so basically we get an alert. So when I hit again refresh, so basically ABC, and I would be giving a name of Raghav. When I hit on save note, so note successfully saved. At this point of time, if I go back to the Mongoose and hit refresh, so our entry have been successfully saved to the server. So basically, we have successfully integrated our create node page to the server. And now this is the, if by any chance, if I just close my server, so basically at this time what happened is I cannot send any data. So basically it has given me a post request connection refused. So basically the server must be available in order to send the data. And yeah, if something happen when the server is running but it does not throw any response, so basically it will definitely throw us something happened wrong if the response or data is not true. So the true must be same as that of the response that we have provided over here. This is true. Okay, so at this time we have successfully saved the data and add the view node page. So this is a last step. So basically what type of node that we have saved over here. So we have to successfully get it through from the server. And how this can happen is by creating a simple get request. As we want to retrieve the data, so we can make a simple get request over here. So basically that would be again an async function having a simple request and a response system. So that will be containing that would return me a response of simple JSON of whole array that we would be getting. So what type of array that we can get is const uh, note list. We can have the whole bunch of note lists. So I can get it by simply user dot find function. So again, we use user dot find function to get all the data that is being present within the user module. So basically we have the user, so it will give me all the data that is present over here. So before sending back to the response, so I would be testing whether what type of data we would be getting. So again, restarting the server. So again, hitting a simple get request towards it. So I would be copy and pasting this same URL, and either I would be having a get request. So basically getting back to our main terminal. So basically I have console.log. So basically we get three elements that the nodes are saved over here. And again, I would be sending this response back to our JSON. So basically by hitting, starting the server again and hitting send over here. So at this time we get three responses over here. And now we will be integrating this to our main view notes page. Okay, so basically view notes.html and main.css. So instead of this note list, so I would be fetching my data from here. So basically how I can do that is I would be getting like const not is equal to response. So basically I would be getting a response over here. So that would be an asynchronous request. So again, writing await, and again we would be using Axios over here, and the URL will be same as that of the previous one. Again, the method would be get. Now at this time, the Axios won't work as we have not declared within the view node HTML file. We have just declared within create node.html file. So what we can do is we just simply copy and paste this particular script and we can use over within the head tag so that it readily download all the GS code to this particular view node.html file. And again, now this time, if I just, as I have previously told that our response would be containing within it, response would give the whole object, and we just have to take the data from there. So I would be taking the data from here, and again when I go back to the main server and hit refresh. So this time these nodes are available from the MongoDB database. To test it out, so I would be going back to the create node section. I would be writing simply this is a new note by Raghav. When I click on save note, I have got the message note successfully saved. Click on OK, go back to the view note, and again I got a new note with the name of this is a new note, author as Raghav, and again last to test it out. And hi Shivay, we have successfully integrated the note taking application, and here the author is Shivay, and click on save note, not successfully saved. And again going back to the view note. So we have again taken another note with the author of Shivay. So this is how we can integrate the whole front-end and application, and how we can use them to create many applications. So this is just an example. So definitely possibilities are unlimited.
Endless.
So
Yeah.
you endless possibilities are there, and you can make your own application